Today, we're going to take a trip way back, 150 years into the past. We're going to see the holy city of Haridwar, but not through some dusty old photographs. No, we're going to experience it through the eyes and the words of a true literary pioneer. So what was Haridwar actually like back in 1871? Well, our guide for this is a fascinating travelogue written by none other than Bharatendu Harishchandra. Now, if that name sounds important, it is. He's widely known as the father of modern Hindi literature. And believe me, this isn't just a simple sightseeing trip he took. It's a full-on literary adventure. Okay, so before we actually get to Haridwar, we really need to understand the man himself, our guide, Bharatendu Harishchandra. He wasn't your typical writer, the kind who's just cooped up at a desk all day. Not at all. He was a firm believer that to really write about the world, you had to get out there and see it, feel it, and experience it for yourself. And this right here, this is one of his most famous quotes. It really gets to the heart of who he was. Nij bhasha unnati ahai, sab unnati ka mool. Let's break that down because it's so important. Nij bhasha means one's own language, and unnati means progress. So what he's saying is that the progress of your own language is the root of all other progress. Think about that. For him, a society's advancement was totally tied to its own language. This deep, deep love for Hindi, well, it became the very lens he used to see and describe everything. So you've got these two sides to him, right? On one hand, he's this master of literature, the father of modern Hindi. On the other, he's this curious, insatiable traveler. It's this combo that makes him so fascinating. So you see, when he headed to Haridwar in 1871, it wasn't just a religious pilgrimage. Oh no, it was more like a literary mission. He wanted to capture this whole experience in the living, breathing, beautiful Hindi of his time. All right, let's dive in. What were his first impressions? How did a poet's eye see the landscape of Haridwar? This is where the story really gets going. This quote tells you everything about his immediate reaction, the moment he arrived. Now, the language he uses is just beautiful, and it's so important. He says his chit became happy and pure. Chit is a word that's so much more than just heart. It's closer to your mind, your consciousness, your entire inner self. And he says it became prasann, which means joyful, and nirmal, which means completely pure, spotless. It's like we're getting this perfect snapshot of the Hindi language from 150 years ago, and it captures a feeling so deep that even he admits it's beyond description. And here's where that poet's eye really kicks in. He looks at the huge, silent trees, and he doesn't just see, well, trees. No way. He sees sadhus, wise old sages deep in meditation. It's this incredible metaphor. He saw them as these noble beings, just silently taking whatever the sun, the dew, and the rain threw at them, all while selflessly giving their gifts, fruit, shade, wood, to everyone else. And it didn't stop there. For him, even the ground itself was magical. He described the natural landscape as a green carpet that had been laid out specifically for the comfort of pilgrims. So in his eyes, nature wasn't just there, it was actively playing the part of a gracious host, welcoming everyone to this sacred place. Okay, so now we come to the absolute heart of Haridwar, the spiritual core of his whole journey, the holy river Ganga. The way he writes about it, man, you can still feel the reverence, the awe, even 150 years later. And he wasn't just a poet lost in thought, he was a really sharp observer too. He didn't just feel the river's spiritual power, he actually took notes on its geography. He points out how the Ganga splits into two streams right there at Haridwar. You've got the Nildara, which literally means blue stream, and then the main Ganga itself. And get this description of the water. This is probably my favorite part. He says it was so cool and sweet, it felt like sugarcane sherbet frozen in ice. How amazing is that? He doesn't just say the water was cold. He gives you something you can almost taste and feel. It's such a simple but powerful image that just transports you right there, feeling that pure, ice-cold water. Being a good travel writer, he also lays out the spiritual map of the place for his readers. He lists the 5 main pilgrimage sites you need to visit. You have Haridwar, Kushavarta, Nildara, Bilva Parvat, and Kankal. And he makes a special point to talk about Kankal, which is a place with some heavy-duty history, known in mythology as the spot where the goddess Sati's self-immolated. But this whole trip was so much more than just sightseeing for him. The real story here is about what happened on the inside. It was about a deep personal transformation, and he writes about it with this incredible, beautiful simplicity.
In fact, he basically gives us his personal recipe for pure joy. Are you ready? Step 1, find a bungalow with a nice, cool breeze. Step 2, take a dip in the Ganga, specifically during a lunar eclipse. And step 3, cook yourself a simple meal right there on a stone by the river. And he says the happiness he got from that simple meal, it was more satisfying than any fancy feast served on a golden plate. It was all about the mix, the place, the ritual, the simplicity. That's what created real joy for him.
And this is how he ends his account. The body has returned home, but the heart has remained in Haridwar. Wow, I mean, what a line. It just perfectly sums up what a truly transformative trip feels like, right? His body might have gone home, but the experience was stamped so deeply on his soul, on his chit, that in a way, a part of him was always going to be in Haridwar. So let's pull back. Why were we talking about this trip from 1871? Why does this one person's travel journal still matter today? What's the big takeaway here? Well, it matters for a few really big reasons. First, it's like a time capsule for the Hindi language. We get to see how it was written and how it felt 150 years ago. Second, it shows us that travel writing can be way more than just a guidebook. It can be a deep, spiritual story of how a place can change you. And finally, it's a window into the past, into a time when travel was seen as a crucial tool for learning and for growing as a person. What Harishchandra's journey really shows us is that a simple trip can be so much more. It can be a literary journey, a spiritual awakening, and that kind of leaves us with a big question to think about, doesn't it? Which journey has truly transformed you